as you might say, practice being conscious, slowly and sometimes radically, this consciousness evolves our relative conditioned self. Literally to a molecular level, all the way. And the changes that happen as we so-call unfold, it's really that unfolding is sort of right. But we are continually, as a relative person, transformed and deepened in realization, in the embodiment of presence into our tissues, into our mind, into our heart, our body, and every level. They're not separate ever, but as we become conscious and awake, more and more awakened, then that radiant aliveness is perceived through the whole nervous system as energy, light, vibration, love, peace, true peace. That profound fulfillment is the essence of what you already are. It is not possible to understand it from the relative mind. It's not possible to achieve it through will. What's possible is to learn, as you are here, how to bring attention back to what's happening in such a way that you don't interfere with it, and you begin to become more and more sensitized and sensitive to when reactivity gets in the way, conditioned reactivity. And without judging that, without explaining it, just say, oh, wow, there's the automatic pilot again. There's the programmed robot again. So it's very important to treat your robot gently, even though it's programmed, and even though in some ways it's rather mechanical and reflex. It's sort of like a reflex. It's important to be gentle as you deal with the conditioned self. That's like what I was saying recently, that, hitting your computer with a hammer doesn't upgrade it. But that's often how we treat ourselves in our practice. I'm just going to meditate harder. I'm just going to do more breathing, whatever, something or other that's going to increase. It's going to move it forward. That any kind of willful anticipation, expectation, force is actually in the way. Always. Now, is it okay to have discipline and to, sort of give yourself the support you need to get up and to show up for yourself like here? Yes, it does require a certain commitment. Well, it requires a profound commitment, really, which you have. That's why you're here. So be easy with the conditioned reactivity and all of that stuff that comes up. Because all of that that's coming up is ultimately fertilizer for the plant of your true nature. And over time, usually slowly, hopefully slowly, because you don't want it quick. The integration and the deepening into awakened human life proceeds and continues and doesn't stop, no matter how radiant and so-called enlightened you become. It doesn't stop as long as you're in this incarnation. There's nowhere to get to because you're here and this is it. And yet, on a relative level, here is constantly changing, constantly in flux. Our relative conditioned lives and life, generally speaking, is constantly in movement. And what's truly being revealed to you individually, uniquely, in your own way, is that which is completely secure and at peace. Egos never are secure. They are fundamentally insecure. So whenever we want to know, whenever we want to understand, what we really we're wanting is we want to feel safe. We want to feel reassured. We want to feel like we're on the right track and so forth. And it's okay to want that. This is why when you're supporting yourself in your practice, you want to treat those parts, and often they're very young, vulnerable parts, like a loving parent, right? If you don't have that, then that's what you want to begin to develop. Simple rule of thumb while you're paying attention, mindfulness training practice really, is just notice if your attention is creating a contraction, a pulling in, a tightening up, a pulling away, a pushing away, or if your attention is bringing forth a softening, an opening, or releasing. So sometimes when we give attention in that way, emotions, especially if they're moving, can get more intense. That doesn't mean you're contracting. It just means that there's a discharge about to happen. There's a release. There's a healing in process. That's why patience and hanging in there often in the difficulty is very important, rather than trying to get away from the difficult feelings, which is our conditioned nature to do. That's what it means to sit with it, but it doesn't mean to endure it. That's not what it means. Sitting with something is not an endurance achievement. If it is, you'll just become really, really rigid and uptight. Practice that works will actually make your mind more flexible, your thinking more flexible, your ability to question your own beliefs more easy, your ability to come back to an easy, comfortable overall state much easier. Those are the proofs in the pudding that it's working. I can deeply sense profoundly that you don't need these words that are being spoken. So be that which you are now, truly open. Just dissolving into this being. And letting your eyes see what they're seeing, and let your ears hear what they're hearing, and let your body sense what it's sensing. So you can allow your relative conditioned self to exist simultaneously, really, as your radiant, beautiful, divine self. Nothing to hold on to, nothing to achieve, nothing to become.